Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can plan a fashion or beauty shoot. Now, I've done a few of these kinds of videos over the years, but I really wanted to do a kind of refresher today to kind of chat about just an extra few things that I've learned over the years and what I do prefer to do when I'm planning shoots. And really, when I'm talking about planning a photo shoot today in this video, I am referring to more of a test shoot or portfolio work. So the steps and the aspects that I'm going to talk about today in today's video may not always apply to a commercial shoot. If you're planning something with a client, sometimes that will go a little bit differently. But today we're going to be talking about mainly test shoots and when you're planning shoots for your portfolio. So we're going to jump straight into the video today and let's get into it. So first off, I think starting with your ideas can be the best way to go when it comes to planning a photo shoot. I think it's really great to get really inspired and creative with what you want to create on the day and really look at starting to collect some of those images, whether it be from Pinterest or elsewhere on the web, to start collecting some images to form your ideas for a photo shoot. Do your research, and what I really like to do in this instance is go into Pinterest, and I like to create a lot of different boards. So I'll just save, any favorite hairstyles that I see that I want to do in a photo shoot, or I want to try, or it could be makeup styles, or it could be just the shoot inspiration in general for beauty photography. I just like to make a lot of different boards on Pinterest and just keep saving a lot of different images in there. So even when you start to form some of these ideas, it doesn't have to be for any specific photo shoot just yet. It might be later on down the track that you're collecting ideas for, but I think it's always great to get in the habit of collecting ideas and saving images when you see them and when you see a bit of inspiration that you like. And then you can always refer to them later on down the track when you start to create your mood boards. Now, sometimes at this stage of the shoot, when I start to collect ideas, I actually like to have a makeup artist on board. Because beauty photography is so heavily centered around makeup and hair, I really like to have someone else, whether it be a professional makeup artist or hairstylist, on board at this point in the shoot that I know that I want to work with. It's really nice to have their input as well as to what they'd like to see in a beauty shoot or a fashion shoot and what they really want for their portfolio as well, because everyone's different, and sometimes I've wanted different things in my portfolio to some of the makeup artists that I've worked with, and that's completely okay. So I think to try and make sure that you're on the same page from the start, and if you do have someone in mind that you want to work with for makeup or hair, maybe get them on board at this point to ask them if they've got any ideas in particular that they want to try, and if they send you through some images too, then you can kind of build on that. If you've never approached a makeup artist before or a creative for a planned photo shoot or a test shoot, and this would be your first time doing so, it's really good to maybe pitch a couple of images even, or go to them with something or some ideas that you do have for a photo shoot, just to kind of pique their interest a little bit, especially if you don't have a lot of work to show them. It'd be a great opportunity to contact makeup artists that maybe are on the same experience level as yourself, because then you can kind of grow together, and that's always a lot of fun, because it's good to start that way at the beginning of your career so you can kind of form those great friendships and really get that excitement and motivation behind you both to kind of keep working on shoots together. It also gives you a chance to really chat about things in depth, about what you'd like to do in terms of sourcing a model eventually, or maybe ask them if there's any other creatives in the industry that they might know, whether it be hairstylists or fashion stylists that you think might be great to work with. And it really helps with that planning process from the beginning to really bounce ideas off each other and really have that discussion. So once something's been settled between you and a makeup artist or hairstylist or whoever you might be discussing ideas with, I think it's really important to start working on some mood boards, because in terms of contacting a modeling agency, for example, down the track, they're pretty much going to ask you straight away if you've got a mood board planned. So it's always great to have something ready to go to them with. And I always like to start making the mood board at this point in the process, so it makes it a little bit easier when you're trying to get other creatives on board. For example, if you want to get a hairstylist on board as well, then you can easily send the mood board out so they've got a very good idea of what they're going to achieve on the day and what they're going to get for their portfolio. It really shows that you're doing the planning process well and that you're organized too. So on my mood boards, I will usually have shoot inspiration in general, so that might just be a few images together that really have a certain flow. They may not be from the same editorial or same commercial shoot, but they might have a very similar feel or aesthetic about them. I usually have makeup inspiration on there as well, probably images we've already discussed with the makeup artist initially, and then I'll start to add in some ideas for hair and styling, and you can always tweak them as you get more creatives on board for your shoot if you feel like they need to be changed, or even if the creative that you're getting on board maybe wants to tweak that a bit or has their own ideas, you can always work on that a little bit later on. So also, if you're working with a modeling agency, it might be important to put a couple of different looks down on this particular mood board. So usually what I like to do if I'm working with a modeling agency and I'm asking if they've got any new faces or models that would like to do a test shoot, I usually like to include a few natural style images in there. So natural makeup, very clean looking, in terms of the first look of the day. And I usually do this because that's a lot of the time what modeling agencies will want. If they're allowing you to use especially new faces that don't have a lot in their book, they really want a nice, clean, pared back image a lot of the time that shows off their best features. So usually I'll try and do that first off during the day, and then we'll kind of build up into more bolder makeup styles and hairstyles as we go along. So it's really important during the planning process, and usually earlier on during the planning process, that you decide whether you want this shoot to be an editorial style shoot, so a magazine submission maybe, or whether you want it to be more of a commercial style test just to kind of play around with different looks. And the reason I say this is because editorial is quite different to commercial in terms of aesthetics. Editorial, you're really going to have to work a lot harder during the planning process, and your mood board is going to have to be a lot more comprehensive. So you're really going to have to look at every aspect, whether that be lighting references, posing references, more shoot inspiration overall, to really get a solid vibe or flow with your mood board, because editorial and magazine submissions are supposed to be telling a story. You're also going to have a series of looks. Usually for magazine submissions, a lot of the time the average is around 6 at least. So you're really going to have to plan those looks a lot more in depth, and you're also going to have to consider having a larger team. So usually with beauty photography, you can kind of do without having a fashion stylist, for example, for any test shoots or commercial test shoots, for example. But for an editorial shoot, it's always good to get a fashion stylist on board, because quite often magazines will want to see a label or brand or a few brands in there that a stylist has used for an editorial. So it's just something to think about in that planning process. Editorial is going to take a lot more time. It's going to be a lot more of a creative project between you and the creatives that will be working on it. But having said that, commercial test shoots or general portfolio work will usually be a little bit more laid back, and it's kind of a little bit more on the spontaneous side in terms of what you want to produce. However, sometimes you might have it a little bit more structured too, and really have a good solid idea of what you want to achieve on the day. For example, you might want to get a series of skincare shots if you're doing beauty photography, and you really want to pitch those out to certain brands or give them to the creatives in the group to pitch them out or use them in their portfolio for commercial work. So I think that's really important to remember. Both aspects are quite important with photography. Some people lean more towards one than the other, if that makes sense, but definitely make sure you hash this out earlier on in your planning process. Also with editorial, you're going to have to realize that a magazine submission will mean that you won't be able to use those images straight away. It's going to be quite a while a lot of the time before you're able to see the images again, or to actually use them in anything in particular. And a lot of the time the magazine that you're submitting to will want to be the only ones that use those images, at least for a short period of time. So that's something that the team is also going to have to be aware of. If they're really wanting images straight away after the shoot, or within a few weeks or so, that's probably not going to be doable, because a lot of the time you can't even post them on social media before the editorial has been published. So definitely an important reminder. And another note on mood boards, one of my favorite planners or online planners that I use for mood boards is called Milanote. I've done several videos on my channel before about Milanote, and I just think it's one of the greatest creators, and really easy to just copy paste images from the web or from Pinterest into a really professional looking mood board, or you can even create call sheets through there. Definitely one of my favorite platforms to use online, and I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a new platform to create some mood boards on that might be a little bit easier than just using Photoshop all the time. So as I said, after you start to create the mood board and you're really getting a good vibe for what you're going to be achieving on the day, whether that be an editorial submission or whether that be a commercial style test, once that's kind of done, you can start really contacting a lot more of those creatives. So hairstylists, even prop stylists or set stylists, if you really want to go and develop a great editorial to submit. And fashion stylists are also very common as well, sometimes nail techs as well. So when you're contacting these creatives, really check in with them, see if they're kind of vibing with the mood board, if they want to change anything or add anything. This is a really good time to do this. It's also a good time to write down more of a schedule for the day and check in with each of the team members how long they think that the makeup or hair is going to take for each element of the day. So especially if you're working with an editorial submission, you could have 6 different looks that you need to get through through in a day. So you really need to make sure that you've got a schedule or a timesheet that really everyone can follow and really stick to during the day so you don't go overtime, especially if you're hiring a studio. A lot of the time it will only be for 8 hours in a full day, and you really can't afford to go over that period of time. So this is where a schedule comes in handy, really creating that at this stage. And then finally, I would then approach a modeling agency. So the reason I tend to leave this until last is because quite often the planning process beforehand can take quite a lot of time to do. And sometimes it can be delayed with kind of finding out when everyone's free and just trying to find a couple of dates as well that everyone can do the shoot on. This is really something I've learned over the years, is trying to find a date that everyone's free can be really difficult. And it's also something that the modeling agencies will really want to hear from you. So they're really going to want to know what dates have you got planned out to do the photo shoot so they can see if their models are free. So I always like to have a couple of dates already, like that everyone is free on, and then really have that set mood board and a bit of a run sheet for the day. And it just shows the modeling agency that you're organized as well and that you're not really messing around with them or messing around with their time either. So at this point, it's really important to let the agency know whether you will be looking for new faces as well, and whether you will be shooting editorial or just a simple style test shoot. So at this point in the planning process too, when you've contacted an agency, it's really important to let them know now whether it's going to be more of an editorial style shoot or commercial, or a simple test shoot, for example. This is because sometimes, depending on your experience as a photographer, they may be willing to let you photograph some of the models in the agency that might have a bit more experience too. If they know it's going to be a submission for a particular magazine or a magazine that might be a bit bigger, they might be willing to let you do that. A lot of the time for a simple test shoot though, you usually will have mainly new faces in a package that they may send through to you from a modeling agency. So it's really good to look through their portfolios, see how much they have in their portfolios, because although it does say new faces a lot of the time or development, quite often they are more experienced models that have moved across from other agencies, and it's just that they're still new to certain agencies that you might have contacted. So just have a look at how much they have in their portfolios. If you're happy to photograph someone who's very fresh-faced and new to the industry, then that's completely fine too, and really make your decisions based around the outcome that you want for your shoot. So once you do have a model selected and that part of the process is kind of done, then it's a really good time to get some call sheets ready. Now, a call sheet is basically just a document that you can type up online that has all the main information for the shoot. So this might include the date, time, location, the creative team, so you can put down contact details for each person in the creative team so everyone knows who everyone is going to be on the day. Sometimes I like to put their social media handles as well, so you can kind of do a bit of an Instagram stalk beforehand. I also like to put a schedule in there if I'm doing a schedule for the day. Most of the time I try and do a schedule regardless of whether it's editorial or commercial that I'm doing, because I just like to stay on time and stay on track as much as I can. And I also like to attach the mood board so everyone's kind of across it there as well. So once again, I use Milanote for all of my call sheets as well, and you can really easily move around elements online on their platforms, so it's just a super easy way to create call sheets. And usually also at this time you're going to be organizing the location of your photo shoots, so whether that's going to be a studio or whether that's going to be outdoors, it's really good to have a solid meeting place for everyone. And just keep in mind that if you're doing a photo shoot outdoors, then you're really going to have to think about if the hairstylist, for example, or the makeup artist needs power. You need to maybe choose a meeting place where you can all meet at that does actually have that aspect, because quite often I did natural light photo shoots when I was a lot younger and I didn't really think of that too much, and then we get quite stuck if we wanted to do kind of more of an elaborate hairstyle or makeup look that maybe required some power at some point. So it's just something to really think about at this point. And as a final point to planning the photo shoot, I would then make sure to bring a couple of snacks on the day, whether it's for everyone or even just yourself, because you're going to get hungry, and a lot of the time things run over time and you may not always get a chance to have lunch. I highly recommend getting lunch and having that break throughout the day, because everyone needs that break, but I know what it's like, and there has been times where I haven't been able to do that. So I always like to bring a couple of snacks and make sure that that's kind of planned the day beforehand. And also a couple of days beforehand, I like to organize an equipment checklist, so making sure that I'm not forgetting anything, especially when it comes to spare batteries and memory cards, because there is nothing worse than turning up to a photo shoot without a battery or without a memory card. And I highly don't recommend doing that. So make sure that you've got that equipment checklist organized a few days beforehand. And then usually in terms of turnaround for images, it's really going to be dependent on you after the shoot. I like to make sure I still keep in contact with everyone, whether it's via WhatsApp or Instagram or wherever is easiest for you to communicate with people. Even emails is fine too. But usually I like to kind of get most of my images completely done within about a month or so after the photo shoot. I really like to make sure that I've got those images, and it really depends on how many images you're going to be doing as well and giving people. There's no really right or wrong answer. I guess just don't maybe do like 50 or 60 images. It's probably a little bit unnecessary and it's going to take you a long time to edit. But yeah, just making sure that you've kind of got a rough timeline of what you like to stick to for turnaround on images. All right, guys, well, I hope you really enjoyed this video on how to plan a photo shoot. I really hope that you learned something new from this video. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you put in the comments section below what you like to do in your photo shoot planning process. If you'd like to see more education content, I do have my new education website launched now, which is really exciting. So I'm going to be posting a lot of my courses on there. I now have my presets shop on there with my ebooks as well. So make sure you head on over there. The link is down in the description box below. So head on over there if you want more educational content or you want to learn more from me. And remember to put in the comment section below as well what you'd like to see on my channel, because I'm sure I will have a lot more content in future and I always love getting new ideas from you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.